What I want you to do, for those that don't know, my dad is, or was, he passed in 1990, a preacher. And I promise you I won't be doing any sermons, but I want you to look to your neighbor. You guys know about look to your neighbor. Look to your neighbor and say, change is constant. Oh, come on now. Change is constant. You know this, I know this, but the question is, have we embraced or can we embrace this concept? As we ponder this question, let me submit that we are gathered here tonight in a community that is on the cusp of change. Would you guys agree that around this university, we're at the cusp of change? Right outside this auditorium, growth and development is occurring at a record pace. Your university is expanding, as is the other campus of higher learning right up the street. That's the University of Houston. New businesses are setting up shop. Homes are being built and renovated. Churches are transitioning to retain and also attract congregations. Schools are being revitalized. Communities are being mobilized. Transportation options are multiplying, and the area's population is becoming more and more of a melting pot. In a nutshell, we are seeing our great diversity thrive. The demographics of that diversity, education, culture, business, religion, housing, so many more, define the change that is happening not only in Houston, but also in Missouri City, as well as Fort Bend and Harris counties. Here's the breakdown of the challenges and opportunities of the diversity in the Show Me City. One of the things that I take very much pride in is to see the great diversity. There's only so many cities that have double-digit diversity in all of the major ethnicities, whether that's Caucasian, African American, Asian, or Hispanic. We have double digits. But with that comes challenges as well as opportunities, whether that's in employment, recreational, housing, educational, land uses. The transition that's taking place here affects citizens, companies along Scott, Dowling, and McGowan streets. The one taking place in my city affects a number of companies and citizens on Texas Parkway, Murphy Road, Cartwright Road, as well as Texas Highway 6. Change is constant, and it can be a challenge. However, no matter what area of public service you choose to explore, you must be prepared to be embraced by it, to be educated by it, to be engaged by it, and to be energized by it, which leads me to the importance of selfless service. Can we say selfless service? Selfless service. For the past 27 years, I've had the opportunity and been very fortunate to be a public servant, and have had the privilege of serving a number of cities, including Tallahassee, Florida, Macon, Georgia, Fort Worth, Texas, Austin, Texas, and now Missouri City, Texas. In all those years, there's been one lesson that stands out most for me. It's really not about me. It's about the people that we serve. Should you choose to be a teacher, a social worker, a public safety officer, an elected official, or a government employee like me or Controller Brown, being selfless with a focus on your commitment to service has to be your number one priority. And I'm emphasizing service because that's what we do. As public administrators, we serve. And I was very fortunate when I was in Tallahassee, Florida, to have an African-American female who's a city manager there to see something in me. And she stated that, I don't want you to be in the typical internship program in my city manager's office. I'm going to expose you to the rigors and the opportunities of public service. Because as I state all the time, there's only so many professions that touch the day-to-day lives of people, whether it's the roads you drive, the lights you turn on, the water that you drink. public service touches the day-to-day lives, and she gave me so many great opportunities that wasn't about just answering the phone, but being exposed to other public administrators. And that's one of the reasons when I arrived in Missouri City, I asked the question, do we have an internship program? So my hope is, Dr. Thurman, that hopefully in the next year we'll be creating an internship program that hopefully we can bring students from TSU and also the University of Houston to be exposed to the greatness that I was exposed to when I was at Florida State University. Every day, the 70,000 citizens of Missouri City rely on me and my team to keep the streets safe, to manage the infrastructure, to balance the budget, to host quality parks and recreation programs and community events, and to provide access to affordable housing, solid waste services, as well as amenities. That's why, for me, all voices matter. Turn to your neighbor and say, all voices matter. To truly lead, you must first be able to listen and learn. My career has taken me through stints in local, state, federal, and nonprofit entities. I've been a chief administrative officer in Missouri City for now 1 year. It's interesting, yesterday morning, my wife and my two kids, 10 and 12, ended up getting me out of bed singing Happy Anniversary. And I was like, what is this about? But yesterday was my 1 year anniversary in Missouri City. And it is indeed an honor to serve in the Show Me City, which groundbreaking national studies show is the most diverse city in the region. And I can tell you my journey has taught me that to truly be successful, all voices have to be represented at the table. The homeowner, the business owner, the consumer, the stakeholder, the schools, the visitors, the media, and yes, the critics, because you can always have a critic. All voices. It's critical, too, that you listen and learn from all of these audiences, because no other profession, as I stated earlier, truly touches the day-to-day lives of people more so than public service. And you need all of these ideas to fill the budget deficit, to repave those streets, to fix those sidewalks, to create new programs, and to provide superior services. For instance, we all know about the revitalization in Emancipation Park, right up the street. The same focus is being placed on a community hub in my community, in and around City Hall, where we're trying to expand our City Hall complex by featuring an amphitheater, a veterans memorial, walking trails, and public art. We're so excited about the construction of an HCC campus and the renovation of a Fort Bend County Library facility, all within the same complex of our City Hall. The work of a public servant is always evolving, and with that said, I invite you to, here's another hashtag, take the challenge. We who choose this profession need to tap into our education, experience, ethics, and values to address issues ranging from economic development, utilities, public safety, innovations in technology, capital improvements, community relations, public and private partnership, and emerging trends. I'm reminded by a quote or actually a comment by my previous city manager, Mark Gott. And he used to always come in our room, in our conference room, and say, you know what? All of us executives around the table, he said, I don't just want your work experience. I want also your life experiences. I want all of it. Because as we grapple and we touch on these issues that touch these lives, I want all of you, the life experiences and the educational experiences, because we're dealing with so much. And whether you're faced with negotiating a contract, developing a project, introducing technology trends, or maintaining a safe community, change is definitely constant. So public servants should always be able to multitask and be able to manage this complexity with a skilled workforce that features leadership across all levels. You know, there are a number of things that keep me up at night.
But tonight I want to highlight 6 things recently that I've been dealing with that I want to share with you. One is the budget. One of my fiduciary responsibilities is to ensure that I submit a balanced budget to my council. Just like all cities, we have a limited bottom line. And I think about ways we can stretch our financial resources to take care of all of those critical needs that are out there. And with only 2 primary revenue sources, and that's sales tax and property tax, Missouri City continues to do more with less, but I can tell you it's very tough. It's very tough. Savings are always a priority for me and my staff, and we've leveraged our excellent credit rating to refinance this past year $72.6 million of debt and secured lower interest rates, saving our citizens $10.7 million over the next 20 years. This transaction actually was the single largest transaction and savings in the city's history. And I know it's very, very small, considering the billions of dollars that the comptroller talked about earlier, but it matters to small cities like Missouri City. The state legislative agenda. In the 2017 session, lawmakers will discuss and debate an ambitious agenda which includes revenue caps, and we have our eyes definitely on that item. Local governments are closely watching that for the outcome on that issue and others, as it will impact spending in our cities. My council and staff, we're currently working with our legislative lobbyists to assure that we are ahead and not behind the curve. An aging infrastructure. This year in Missouri City, we celebrate 60 years of our existence. With the milestone comes a reminder and realization that infrastructure citywide, especially in established communities, needs repair and replacement. While we have dedicated budget dollars for these projects, it's only a fraction of what's needed to keep us up to speed. While we have limited capital improvement project dollars, only $16.9 million for this year, we will stretch them to assure that our streets and our sidewalks repairs citywide are done. Now keep in mind that city staff maintain a roadway of about 634 lane miles. So that's equivalent of 4 lane miles, a four-lane highway going from Houston to Austin. In our most recent comprehensive plan update, an inflow and an outflow analysis shows more than 30,000 people leave daily to work in other cities and areas. And I think that's attributable to the fact that Missouri City was built as a bedroom community. Come in and leave, come back. But as we've evolved to a progressive city, we're looking at what can we do, whether that's from industry, bringing in more industry and jobs to our city, to minimize some of the trips that are going outside of our city to keep some of our residents into highly paid positions within. Whereas we also have only 9,000 individuals that are coming into our city during the day to work and shop. About 1,000 people remain throughout the day and may partially account for our retiree population. Ultimately, this has a direct impact on non-residential uses in our city limits. Code enforcement, which is close to police, our public safety, is one of the top 2 priorities for our city council. High weeds and grass, junked and abandoned vehicles, improperly stored trash cans, overgrown trees and vegetation, dirty pools, broken fences, signs placed in our right-of-way. All of these are violations that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. These violations bring property values in our communities down, and council members have passed a number of laws, and I have commissioned also a nuisance abatement committee to proactively address these issues, including code enforcement officers being able to utilize body cameras. And I can say there are not many code officers that actually have that technology. I think we're one of the first in the state, if not the region, that are utilizing those cameras and giving them the ability to issue, based on identifiers, citations. Public safety. Over the past 7 years, the Show Me City has been recognized as one of the state's and nation's safest cities. In fact, our police chief was recently invited to the White House to participate in a discussion on 21st century policing, sharing ideas as well as solutions with law enforcement peers from across the country. Yet, we're not resting on our laurels. I'm always working with our police officers as well as our firefighters to make sure we have the right level of safety measures in place for our citizens. And no matter where you live, that's always a priority, along with recruiting and retaining skilled and experienced public safety forces and making sure that they have the right tools and the trainings to do their job. That leads us to my last of the 6, competition. Being in close proximity to other thriving municipalities like Pearland, Sugar Land, and yes, Houston, my team and I are always mindful of the importance of having innovative park programs, of offering incentives to commercial enterprises, of finding ways to assure growth in the economy, and also retaining a very talented workforce. Speaking of a skilled workforce, part of retention is engagement. One of the projects I engage my staff to undertake upon my arrival in Missouri City is a high-performance organization format. This project is a priority because it involves city council, city management, city staff, citizens, as well as stakeholders. It requires a team philosophy as opposed to a silo mentality. It involves compromise, collaboration, and most of all, clear, direct, and honest communications. To make HPO processes seamless, I have convened planning sessions as well as retreats, an employee engagement group, staff task forces, public input meetings, and an innovative forum called Vision to Voice, or Voice to Vision, which provides an opportunity for staff to dialogue directly with me about issues that are relevant in their lives. Speaking of vision, whatever you do, please make sure to, and this is my last hashtag for the evening, empower the people. You can help me say that one. Empower the, okay. Without buy-in from all the partners we have referenced tonight, public service is not possible. Input, feedback, and perspectives from all parties ultimately ensure success. In closing, my journey has taken me from a childhood in Americus, Georgia, population 17,000, to my first public service internship in Tallahassee, Florida, to share my story with you all here today in the Walter J. McCoy Auditorium. Dr. McCoy, as you're well aware, was the founding dean of the School of Public Affairs here. His esteemed work in urban planning and environmental policy left the foundation we can all build upon. We in Missouri City are now utilizing some of his tenets today in our update to our comprehensive plan. We have a number of emerging themes that group of citizens, with their work being finished, felt was important to be included in our comprehensive plan, and they're listed here. Provide more opportunities for primary employment within the city to decrease out migration of working residents. We talked about that. Revitalize older and declining areas of the city. So they've given us the community's vision of what they would like to see for our future. Now it's up to us to roll our sleeves up and get to work. You know, through opportunities, challenges, and ultimately successes, my passion for public service has never waned. Each day it gets stronger and stronger. And finally, a focus on the future is always imperative. Building blocks begin with a vision that brings all parties on the bus. To illustrate this, I would like to share a video real quickly. It's a couple of minute video on something that started with a vision and ended up a great victory for the citizens of Missouri City. Thank you so very much.